fast. And then, but Muhammad Ali sit on the floor and looked at Elvis and started laughing, and Elvis started laughing, so we all started laughing. We said,
There's two or three of them in there, two or three of his bodyguards. Joe Esposito was the number one. And so in a few minutes, he come bouncing down the stairs. And I grabbed him, and I grabbed his arm, and I said, oh, I said, Elvis, Elvis. I started holding him, you know, like that. He said, yeah. He said, cut me and I'll bleed just like you will. I said, buddy, I'm not going to cut you. I said, I'm too glad to see you. I said, you don't know you have made my life. You made me. And he said, well, he said, you got my badge? I said, yes, sir. And he said, I give it to him, and he looked at it, and he's tickled to death with it. And in a few minutes, Priscilla came in, and she said, he looked at Priscilla and said, Priscilla, I wish you could have seen the look on that boy's face when I walked in this room. He said, if I live to be 100 years old, he said, I'll never forget this boy right here as long as I live. And he got his tickle with me as I did. And when I told him my name was Gene Autry, he looked at me and he said, Gene Autry can't sing. I said, no, but Elvis can sing, can he? He said, yeah, somebody thinks I can. He said, they just named the street after me on Monday down the street here when they named Elvis Presley Boulevard. And he said, do you want to go?
With Anne Margaret. His charisma. He was like the John Wayne, you know. It was like John Wayne walked into a room about you just knew he was in the room. You know, it was amazing. Johnny Cash had that kind of charisma. But Elvis's was something very, very special. He was, I guess it was just his honesty, his aura, the look that he had, you know. He looked like a Valentino from the country, more or less, you know. He was a very handsome man.
When I saw him the first time, and I said it, I didn't say it to be cute. I said it because I was blown away. I'd never seen a dude that good looking. He was one of the best looking dudes, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm, sure was.
I mean, baby, when I walked in and saw it, there it was. You know, I ain't no fool. I said, damn, if you ain't the best looking thing I ever seen. I wish I was a girl right now.
Not by the number. So we enjoyed everything we did with Elvis. He was friendly to everybody. I don't care, even if you hurt his feelings, he would turn it off. You know, we used to say to him, people would say, really, directors and producers around on the movie sets and the studio would say things to him that about the material or something that, you know, that he didn't like. But he would never say anything about it. He'd never talk back to him, so to speak. His mother taught him not to do that, and he didn't do it.
Falling all over me or whatever it is, but Elvis Presley was a thrill for me to visit with. Not just once, but a few times, and the way he treated my father. After I had met Elvis a couple of times, and then a time again he was performing in Las Vegas where my dad was visiting with me. And after the performance, we went back to the dressing room, and I introduced my dad to Elvis, Elvis to my dad, and Elvis put an arm around my father's shoulder, took him over to a little couch and sat down, and they visited for the next bunch of minutes. And I was marveling at how kind, how nice, how respectful Elvis was at that time. I appreciated that big time, and I do to this day.
Just went over there, and that led to a change in my whole life. I always say that once Elvis touched your life, you were never the same. He had a charisma, he had a magic. He was being very serious, and I'm looking at him, and I said, you are too pretty to be a man. And he said, woman, you are crazy. And it just kind of broke the spell, you know, and that was a favorite memory of mine. But Elvis was so special, and over 150 concerts that I attended, I never stopped getting the butterflies in my stomach. When those kettle drums started, the excitement was there. My eyes would fill with tears. I wasn't a screamer, but when he walked across that stage and made eye contact with you, it made you feel like the most special person in the world.
A great group that he was traveling with, and we just had a great time and able to just communicate and talk and couldn't stop looking at his eyes. They were
She
gorgeous.
walked away with her little button, and she was pleased as punch.
He wasn't any different. I mean, he was just so warm and friendly, and thank yous, and may I, and he was a Southern gentleman. I mean, you could really tell that he was a Southern gentleman and raised by a great family, just because he was just so warm and friendly and polite and wonderful.
The following program was recorded a few months ago, and it represents Elvis's last concert tour.
I'm going to see Elvis the Pelvis, and it's going to be great.
He is just the king.
The king.
He's the king.
The king of music.
King. He is the king.
He's the king. He's great. I love him.
He's the king.
He will always be the king no matter what.
I think he's a good, clean fellow.
I think any auditorium in the country that has Elvis has an experience that he never forgets, and it's one of the attractions that every building looks for. When Colonel Parker gives you the call that you have a date, after all that, it's just like you're in the Army.